out. And so, but here is today's reading. We're looking at Mark chapter 22, verses 20, or Mark chapter 8, verses 22 through 28. This is what it says. It says, Then they came to Bethsaida. They brought a blind man to Jesus and asked him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand and brought him outside of the village. Then he spit on his eyes, placed his hands on his eyes, and asked, Do you see anything? Regaining his sight, he said, I see, but they all look like trees walking. Then Jesus placed his hand on the man's eyes again, and he opened his eyes. His sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. Jesus sent him home, saying, Do not even go into the village. Then Jesus and his disciples went to the villages of Caesarea Philippi, and on the way he asked his disciples, Who do you say that I am? John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others one of the prophets. He asked them, But who do you say I am? Peter answered him, You are the Christ. Then he warned them not to tell anyone about him. Then Jesus began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the experts of the law, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He spoke openly about it. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But after turning and looking at the disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, Get behind me, Satan. You are not setting your mind on God's interest, but on man's. Then Jesus, calling the crowd along with his disciples, and said to them, If anyone wants to become my follower, he must deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake, or for the gospel, will save it. For my sake and for the gospel will save it. For what benefit is it for a person to gain the whole world yet forfeit his life? What can a person give in exchange for his life? For if anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father with his holy angels. So one of the things that this passage has in it is first of all, you've got Peter being rebuked by Jesus. And that actually, Jesus tells him, I'm going to die. And Peter says that shouldn't be the case. Essentially, Peter had in his own mind what it meant for Jesus to be the Christ or the Messiah. And that didn't involve him dying. And so that's why Peter rebukes Jesus. The reason that Jesus rebuked him back, I don't think he was calling him Satan. I think he was identifying the fact that Peter right now at that moment had been manipulated by Satan into setting his eyes on what he understood instead of really seeking God. Jesus says, well, we're to deny ourselves and pick up our cross and follow him. And a lot of times that means we have to let go of our notions of what we deserve, our notions of the way things are going to work out. We have to allow ourselves to be servants, to deny ourselves, which isn't easy, which isn't fun either. But that's what it means to follow Jesus. And in the end, Jesus asks a pretty question. What benefit? What good is it going to do if you gain everything you want in the world and lose your life, or other gospels, lose your soul? And what can a person give in exchange for his soul? Essentially, life is a gift. And really, it's a gift from God. It belongs to God. He's granted us this gift. And really, the question is, if you lose your soul, if you lose your life, what is all that stuff worth? And Jesus, I think, was pointing to the fact that we can't give anything for exchange for our soul. We can't give anything to fix what humanity has done to itself. And really, it's only through Jesus' life, death, and resurrection that can happen. Peter didn't want Jesus to die, but Jesus understood, no, this needs to happen. And that's why he was rebuking him. And yeah, Satan, this was the same temptation Satan had given him, that essentially, I'll give you everything you want. Just give in to this temptation. Just bow down and worship me. You know, and so he was identifying that is the way Satan works. A lot of times when we are not careful, Satan will make us distractions for other people and for ourselves to what God really wants us to do. And really, the way you know God is up to something is if you're facing some distractions that really are not the main thing. They're minor things, but sometimes those distractions become major, can act like they're major things, and we can look at them that way. And we need to remember to keep things in perspective. And when we face those issues, when we face those challenges, we need to realize what they are, and first and foremost, seek God. And not ourselves, not what we want, but really ask, okay, what does God want in this situation? Am I still focused on that? Just something to think about today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. That's my view from the Broad Top today. Talk to you later.